Things just lined up perfectly for the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens ahead of this off season as the mock drafts are coming in, and the new player we're going to be looking at fits all the needs the Celtics could utilize from someone being added to their front court on a cheap contract, but also could replace the value of someone they could potentially lose in free agency, all while having a great relationship with already someone on the roster. And in my opinion, this is one of the home run and slam dunk picks for the Boston Celtics if they're able to land him at pick 28. So who is that big man? Well, we're going to be breaking down all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I am Bruce Veliz, and I want to say thank you guys for showing your support for Patrick and our new host Nick here on the channel, as we'll be pumping out daily Celtics content for you guys here on the channel, looking into everything in depth on this Celtics team. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around this squad, make sure to continue hit that subscribe button, as around 64% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed. If you want to make sure you get the daily content plus the live streams every Wednesday with Patrick and I, this is the place for you to break down all this Celtics news. So without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab that snack. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But personally, I think that this would be nice for the Boston Celtics if they were able to secure a guy in Ryan Kalkbrenner. And that's the player we're going to be discussing today. And we want to dive into this article that we looked at yesterday. So if you missed our player preview looking at Danny Wolf, which I uploaded this morning, definitely check that out, who's another big man. But this was another player from that list, courtesy of Nick Goss, not the one that is on our channel, but the one that writes for NBC Sports Boston. And he's wrote some mock draft roundups, best fits for the Celtics in the first round, going over how the Celtics could go different directions with the number 28 overall pick, but their team's most glaring roster issue or need is the center position, as veteran Al Horford and Luke Kornet are both able to become unrestricted free agents this summer, and Porziņģis has played well for Boston when healthy, but has also missed 65 regular season games since becoming a Celtics player in the last 2 years. And with him being on an expiring contract and the uncertainty of him coming back to full health this off season, there are a lot of questions surrounding the front court. So boosting that depth would make sense, and going with a guy in Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton would make the most sense for the Boston Celtics here at one of these picks. Last year, he averaged 19.1 points and 18.7 rebounds per game in a tough conference in the Big East. While shooting 34.2% from three-point range, he also averaged 2.7 blocks per game at a 7-foot, 270-pound frame. And for the Boston Celtics here, Ryan Kalkbrenner, if you want to look at this tweet, as you can see, is one of the most impactful prospects in this class that people are undervaluing. He's an exceptional rim protector at 2.7 blocks per game, like we mentioned, with a plus 7.3 block percentage that utilizes his 9'4" reach to just, or 9 and 4 inches reach to disrupt any offense. Uber efficient interior scorer, where he shot inside 79% from the field with shooting and connective upside. And that is one of the key things with the Celtics into their bigs. Not only to the fact that Kalkbrenner can be that rim protector, someone that they've had with Luke Kornet and obviously Al Horford and Kristaps Porziņģis, but he's a solid paint post-present piece, which the Celtics desperately valued when adding Kristaps Porziņģis to their lineup last season. But if we want to look at some more stuff surrounding Kalkbrenner, look at these advanced stats from college compared to some of the top other bigs that have had some great stats, looking at sophomores like Zach Edey, freshmen like Chet Holmgren, Anthony Davis, and even some juniors like Brandon Clark as well. We can see that Ryan Kalkbrenner's advanced stats are absolutely peak, putting himself at the top of this list with the best offensive rating, obviously defensive rebounding, block rating as well, point, and all these jazz numbers. I think Ryan Kalkbrenner makes a lot of sense for the Boston Celtics, not only just looking at these stats, but to go over a little bit of an eye test. Someone who went to Seton Hall and got to see Creighton play, and Kalkbrenner for the most of his time, he is a well-rounded big. Like I mentioned, can score in the low post, has that ability to be a solid shooter from the mid-range as well for the Boston Celtics, which I really, really like. But not only just that, can be that rim protector at 7'1". And with the Celtics potentially losing a guy in Luke Kornet this free agency, right? As we all know, this could be that key roster piece to really come in and fill in that need if the Celtics aren't able to drop below the aprons or have enough money to bring back a guy like Luke Kornet as well. Not to mention that Kalkbrenner is a senior, so coming into this here, he is going to be an NBA guy and ready to go for this Boston Celtics team, like I mentioned. And that's where I really like him. The only downfalls with Kalkbrenner's game, I would say, is he is a little bit slow. Obviously, at 7'1" and 270 pounds, it's going to take a lot for that big body to get down the court. But as we've seen with guys similar like Zach Edey, obviously it can translate and he can be a really solid defensive piece for your team. And I think that's what he could be for the Boston Celtics. Also, like I mentioned, because he is slow, it's going to be hard for him to transition up and down the court for the Boston Celtics. And also not the fact that he's not the best shooter coming out the draft, and the Celtics obviously love to value that three-point shooting in their bigs with guys like Al Horford, Kristaps Porziņģis, and even Luke Kornet, who can shoot threes but doesn't to play his role for the Celtics team. That is a little bit of a flaw, but I do think that there are some key pieces. But the one thing that we've yet to mention when talking about Ryan Kalkbrenner, and I think the most important part when talking about Ryan Kalkbrenner, is if the Celtics were able to draft him, right, and land him with this 28th overall pick, where he is projected to go around in the mocks in the, late first round, around pick 25 to around pick 32, as I've seen him at the lowest in some drafts. But Kalkbrenner played with Celtics rookie and first round pick last year, Baylor Scheierman at Creighton. And even though they did not play for that long, Baylor Scheierman and Kalkbrenner formed a great connection, and I think this would be key for the Boston Celtics. One, they feel confident in Scheierman's rise, and with the potential of trading away a guy in Jrue Holiday to drop below these aprons here and promoting a guy like Peyton Pritchard, we could see a guy like Baylor Scheierman really taking a bigger role within this secondary unit as either a point guard or as a shooter, depending on what they do with Sam Hauser's contract as well. And I think that the Celtics feel very confident in the rise of Scheierman being able to do that. And what is more powerful than feeling more confident in that than bringing a guy like Kalkbrenner, who's already played at the collegiate level with a guy like Scheierman? They already have that chemistry. They already have that communication. They already have that connection. And if Kalkbrenner is coming in, and if they do lose a guy on Luke Kornet in doing so, he is going to be that backup big competing amongst of guys like Neemias Queta and or Xavier Tillman towards the bottom of that roster. And I think a guy like Kalkbrenner could really insert himself and potentially even pass those guys in that rotation to even slot himself at the backup big starting at the beginning of the season, playing alongside Scheierman in some big time minutes, working that pick and roll duo, being able to have that effective communication, but also bring out the best in each other, which I think would be key for the Boston Celtics. There's not a lot of chances where you get the opportunity to do something like this and draft a college teammate, someone that has connections already with someone that you feel confident within your organization. And that's where I feel like this completely makes sense for the Boston Celtics. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But before we sign out, we're going to ask the question, is it possible to get a guy like Kalkbrenner? And like I mentioned, I think it is. He's projected to go late first round, maybe even the earliest middle of the first round, early second round. And with the Celtics having picks 28 and 32, I do believe that with one of those two selections, they can land a guy like Kalkbrenner if they do feel he is the right fit and want to bring that connection over with Baylor Scheierman. I'm sure Scheierman's already done his, talking around Kalkbrenner because the Celtics are around that pick and they've already asked him how they feel about him, so that they already have a good relationship with Scheierman and Scheierman gives him a good word. I would expect Kalkbrenner to be in the green and white next season. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Let me know what you guys think about Ryan Kalkbrenner. I know there are a lot of positives, but there are some negatives with his game, and that's with a lot of these picks here in the late first round. They obviously have their bright spots, but also have some flaws in their game. But if they can get by those flaws and still push through to the NBA level, they can be key hidden gems to really take the Celtics to that next level and help bridging this championship core alongside Tatum, Brown, and White, which I still see them do in the future. So let me know your thoughts once again on Ryan Kalkbrenner. We will be having more of these draft previews coming for you guys leading up to the draft as well. So if there's anybody that you would like to see that we have yet to mention or someone to dive into that you think would be a good Celtics pick, let me know down below in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.